Here is the official face-off. Today, September 12, Allegiant Stadium, Los.
You know, when he's fought Belenga, then fought Ryder, Munguia. It's even. I think it'd be a 50-50 fight if Crawford fought Canelo.
In the aftermath of Canelo Alvarez's sluggish but decisive victory over William Skull and his face-off with Terence Crawford, the boxing world has shifted focus to what is now being billed as the fight of the century. The bout, promoted inside the ring moments after Alvarez's unanimous decision win, will feature two of the most talented fighters of their generation. However, according to emerging discussions among boxing professionals, the fight may not live up to the hype.
Crawford, Canelo, who you got? Crawford, Canelo? I still say Canelo.
I got Canelo too.
I still say Canelo. Ring IQ, I believe that Crawford has a bit more.
Yep.
However, it's just the size difference. I think that where Crawford is lacking is that he should test the waters even with somebody at that weight class before facing Canelo. But hey, they say he's a dog. He's got shot in the head and drove to the hospital, so maybe...
Turki Alshik stood next to the Mexican champion and boldly declared, "Now, we want to do the fight of the century. The fight in September between two great fighters of our generation, Canelo Alvarez and Crawford. It'll be in the stadium in Las Vegas on the 12th of September. As grand as the setting may be, fans and analysts have already begun dissecting not only the potential of the matchup, but also its motivation and legitimacy in terms of competitive merit. Canelo did not exactly look like a man ready to deliver a generational bout. His performance against the previously undefeated William Skull was alarmingly pedestrian. Canelo's once lethal bodywork and counterpunching ferocity were absent, replaced with occasional telegraphed punches devoid of sting. He moved slowly, punched even slower, and looked every bit his age.
Just want to last the distance.
That's a mediocre mind. That's a mediocre mind because they come just to survive, to go to the 12th round. That's a mediocre mind. You need to put a good fight there and put great show. You know what I mean?
Do you think Crawford will employ the same tactics to try and box?
I hope not. I hope not because the people deserve a good fight.
What do you make of the Crawford fight next?
Huh?
How excited are you for the Crawford fight?
I'm excited. I'm gonna enjoy this.
Observers, including Dmitry Bivol's coach Dmitry Kirilov, didn't hold back. In an interview with Telekom Asia, Kirilov said, "I didn't see anything new. Alvarez exploded occasionally with one or two punches without combos, and they weren't accurate. That's always been his style. As he ages, he's becoming less enthusiastic. He's not working in combinations, just one or two punches, and those weren't even accurate. But Skull could have only won with a knockout. Alvarez is still a superstar. Terence Crawford will easily crush Alvarez if he keeps fighting the way he did today." This brings us to Crawford, undefeated and arguably in the best form of his life, but also a man about to make a three-weight class jump to 168 pounds. It would have only made sense for him to fight Skull, so that the sole reason for moving up would be to become a three-time undisputed champion. That would put more relevance on a fight between Crawford and Canelo. It would make it about legacy. But jumping two weight classes from 154 to super middleweight isn't just bold. It's virtually unheard of. For many, this fight seems less about legacy and more about an enormous payday. The reported purse for both men is $100 million each, a massive sum that raises eyebrows. This fight wasn't born from fan demand, a mandatory challenger status, or a grudge. It was born from opportunity. And now, many believe this bout is Crawford's golden parachute, a final fireworks show before a soft landing into retirement.
It made sense to fight Skull so that the sole reason Crawford was moving up was to become three-time undisputed. That puts a lot more relevance on the fight between Crawford and Canelo, right? It makes it more about legacy outside of him jumping up two weight classes.
Even Crawford hasn't shied away from framing this in terms of legacy rather than future goals. "Yeah, I think I would definitely rank my resume in the top 5, Crawford said. "I'm really moving up 3 weight classes in all reality and fighting arguably one of the best Mexicans to ever fight. It's at his weight, no rehydration clause. I'm just fighting the guy at his best. My body of work that I have put together, I feel like I can compete with anybody from any era. If I win this fight, it will solidify myself as an all-time great because there aren't many fighters who have done what I did, going from 135 pounds to 168 pounds. It's crazy.
Because I'm looking at, say, Canelo guaranteed 150, you guaranteed 100 million. Damn, bud. It's too late for me to train? I mean, that's that number. That sounds like a number that you can get down with.
Man, I don't know, man.
But I don't know, bud. 150 mil. You still gonna want to go in there and train? You still gonna want to go do another fight?
They might come with 200 and shit.
There's a sense of split perception surrounding this clash. On one hand, it pits two of boxing's most skilled operators against each other. Crawford, the undisputed welterweight champion and conqueror of Errol Spence Jr., versus Canelo, the current unified super middleweight champion who has beaten elite names like Gennady Golovkin, Miguel Cotto, and Sergey Kovalev. But the legitimacy of this bout as a true super fight is being questioned, especially given what fans have actually been demanding.
About Terence Crawford. Do you think it'll add to your legacy, though, fight with
Yeah,
Crawford?
a lot. He's a really good fighter. 2 times undisputed champion. He accomplished so much. So can add a lot to my career.
For years, fans have clamored for a showdown between Canelo and David Benavidez, known as the Mexican Monster. Benavidez has bulldozed his way into title contention, staying active, explosive, and undefeated. Unlike Crawford, Benavidez is a natural super middleweight, younger, and poses a real physical and stylistic threat. But instead of that clash, which boxing purists and the Mexican fan base in particular have pushed for, we're getting what feels to many like a money grab.
Tell you what I think should be going. The notion that Terence Bud Crawford should move up 3 weight classes, 21 pounds, to fight Canelo Alvarez. He's entirely too small.
Julio Cesar Chavez, the Mexican icon and arguably the greatest fighter the country has ever produced, gave a bold prediction that mirrored the sentiment of many in Alvarez's camp. It's really an uneven fight, Chavez told Fight Hub TV. Crawford is a great fighter, but Canelo is out of his league. Crawford is going for the money, and Canelo is going to knock him out. It was a striking endorsement from a legend who doesn't hand out praise lightly. But that view isn't universal. Crawford's 2023 destruction of Errol Spence Jr. put the entire boxing world on notice.
From Benavidez. What is that? I mean, imagine if I ever ran from anybody. Like, did I run from somebody in my career? No. Did Chavez run from somebody in his career? No. Chavez was 87-0. Imagine that. So to me, that's the all-time greatest fighter.
He's not just a technician, he's a finisher. His ability to switch stances, control distance, and adapt mid-fight has left even elite opponents looking ordinary. His confidence is sky-high. Standing face-to-face with Alvarez in the ring after the skull fight, Crawford said, "In September, I'll show the world what greatness looks like."
I'll be going for Bud. You know, if he fight Canelo, I'll be going for him. I mean, I don't know if he gonna win or lose, but I definitely be going for Crawford. I think if anybody can pull it off, he can pull it off. Yeah. But no, he's chasing greatness, so why not? Canelo came up to 175 and all that, and fought Kovalev and fought the other guy too. So I mean, if he can do it, and he started at 147. So I mean, if he's doing it, why can't Crawford do it?
Some neutral observers and even fellow fighters remain divided. Heavyweight champion Alexander Usyk initially threw his support behind Crawford, saying on the 3 Knockdown Rule podcast, "I like Terence. He's a crazy man. Terence win. Listen, Terence is a different man. Terence works on 2 sides, right and left. He's a very smart man. He feels distance and space. Canelo is big, yeah, good boxer. But I say Terence. Terence can box him like a big guy." But later, Usyk softened his stance, telling TNT Sports he could no longer pick a side. Very hard, 50-50.
Listen, I told my boy Jazz, I already caught the biggest fish in Texas. About to get out here and get it in. I see the water. I know who the #1 fisherman is. Even big fish get caught.
Oscar De La Hoya, the 6-weight world champion and Canelo's former promoter, also added his perspective in an interview with Brian Mazik. While he acknowledged that a win for Crawford would be monumental, he expressed skepticism about the outcome. If Crawford can do it, Jesus, Lord, I mean, give this man the title of being the greatest ever. But I just don't see it. Canelo is a big puncher. Yeah, he walks on quicksand, and that's the one thing Crawford can use against him. But the pressure of the heavier guy, Canelo will be 200 pounds in that ring. It's a tough fight. But look, I give all the credit to Crawford. If he pulls it off, he'll be the messiah of fighters.
Canelo or Terence win. But listen, Terence, it's different man. Terence work in две стойка.
Two sides.
Two sides.
Right. And
right.
Switch hitter.
Yes.
He's a switch hitter.
Yes. Right and left. But it's very smart man. It's very, very, very smart. But feel distance.
Beyond the matchup itself, the business and spectacle elements are undeniable. Allegiant Stadium will be sold out. The event is backed by massive Saudi investment, high-definition broadcast deals, and unprecedented promotional reach. Canelo believes it could surpass even his 2013 mega fight with Floyd Mayweather in terms of revenue and impact. For Crawford, it's the chance to become the first fighter in the four-belt era to be undisputed in 3 different weight classes. The stakes couldn't be higher. One man chasing history, the other protecting legacy.
Of the sport, it just. Now, if Crawford can do it, Jesus Lord, I mean, give this man, I mean, the title of being the greatest ever, you know? And that's probably the motivation for Crawford. That's probably the motivation for his camp, for his, you know, for his corner, for his trainer, is that, look, if you beat Canelo, you can go down as one of the historical best fighters ever on the planet. I mean, that's enough motivation for any fighter.
Yet, the buzz remains strangely muted. The $100 million paydays are eye-watering, but they come with the burden of expectation, especially from fans who feel the sport is bypassing deserving contenders in favor of legacy-chasing showcases. This fight wasn't demanded, it was offered. And while the poster may read Fight of the Century, the jury is still out on whether it will truly be remembered as such or simply the biggest payday of 2 illustrious careers winding down at vastly different speeds. Terence Crawford has expressed his belief that many people misunderstand Canelo Alvarez's skills. Despite Canelo's reputation as a fierce puncher, Crawford insists that his opponent's abilities go far beyond just knockout power.
They talk all the crazy stuff about me going up and having a tough time, but he went up in weight and lost. That's the difference. I went up weight and won. He went up and lost. You know, so let's not do that.
In an interview on the Club Shay Shay podcast with Shannon Sharp, Crawford challenged this simplistic view of Alvarez. He argued that while punching power is always effective, it may not have the same impact on a bigger opponent as it would on a smaller one. However, Crawford emphasized that he doesn't need a knockout to win, he just needs to outbox him. Crawford's perspective is clear. Canelo's punching power should not be the focal point when evaluating his skill set. Canelo is not just a puncher. I don't know why people think that. They don't know boxing. They just see him as this strong, bigger man. He's a great boxer. People are overlooking his boxing skills and assuming he's just a puncher, which is not true.
G1 next. It seems like that's going to be the fight. Terence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez, the biggest fight in boxing.
Well, Canelo's the face of boxing. He's the best fighter for Terence Crawford out there. He's the biggest fight for Terence Crawford out there. So that's why Terence Crawford want to take the opportunity to share a ring with another great.
How do you beat him?
Crawford is determined to set the record straight, making it clear that those who see Canelo as only a puncher are failing to recognize the full depth of his abilities. For Crawford, Canelo is not just brute force. He's a complete fighter whose strengths should be respected and properly analyzed. Crawford continued his assessment of Alvarez, explaining that he's considering every aspect of the Mexican fighter's game while preparing for their potential showdown. Canelo is not only a powerful puncher, he's also a skilled boxer who can take punches, deliver counters, and dictate the pace of a fight.
All my. Because they underestimate your bud.
It's just, even if they didn't, I'm going to beat you up. You know, I can fight.
Right.
You know, so if you watch, like, all these dudes bigger than me.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't care. But I'm going to find a way to win, no matter what.
In September, are you going to pull this? I shook up the world. I told you. I told you. I told you.
Crawford also highlighted Canelo's strength as a body puncher and his excellent balance. He pointed out that Alvarez is rarely out of position, a trait that reflects his precision and technical boxing ability. By acknowledging the full spectrum of Canelo's strengths, Crawford is preparing for a much more nuanced and difficult fight than many fans might expect. Meanwhile, Virgil Ortiz has made it clear that he believes Canelo will win, and decisively. Ortiz, who has expressed interest in facing Crawford if he returns to 154, didn't mince words when discussing the clash. In an interview with Ring magazine, Ortiz said, "Just to keep it real, I think he's too small. Yeah, I know he just weighed in at 180 right now, but just putting on the weight and actually belonging to that weight are two different things."
That matchup with a Terence Crawford, I don't know if he's going to come back down after Canelo Alvarez. But what about Canelo? Crawford, because every time he fights somebody, you beat the Mean Machine better. You beat Masvidal better. It's like you cleaning up his work. Would you fight a Terence Crawford?
I would, and I would like to. I did hear that he's gonna retire after Canelo, which you know is fair. He's been a two-time undisputed champion.
Ortiz made a distinction between simply gaining weight for a fight and being able to fight effectively at that higher weight class. He doesn't believe Crawford can handle the jump to 168 pounds successfully. While Crawford may have added weight, Ortiz doesn't think it will be enough to compete with someone as powerful and experienced as Canelo. While he acknowledged Crawford's talent, Ortiz believes the fight is a mismatch in Canelo's favor.
Canelo is that, you know, is his weight,
yeah,
and that he's more bigger. You know what I'm saying? That's the only thing. But as far as skill set wise, IQ, I feel like Crawford can match anybody and probably do way better. You know what I'm saying? But you know, Crawford is a legend, bro.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, you can't.
He noted that Crawford gets hit during his fights, and being caught clean by one of Canelo's powerful punches would not end well, regardless of who you are. I know I'm going to get some hate for saying this. Crawford gets hit. He does. He gets hit like everybody else. Sometimes he gets hit clean. If you get hit clean by Canelo, that's not good. It's really not good, whoever you are, and Canelo's fast. It's not like he's a slow puncher. He will catch you off guard. It's just different. Ortiz made a compelling argument emphasizing Canelo's speed and power, which could be devastating for Crawford if he fails to avoid them.
I got the speed over Canelo. I got the reach over him. He might got the size, the power. I got the better skills, boxing skills.
Would it be more of a cat and mouse? The reality is Canelo does put people out, from Kirkland to Amir Khan to just...
Don't do
obviously,
I'm just saying, man.
No, but he's not Kovalev.
Kovalev was older. He does. Don't get me wrong. He does have a lot of power, but all those guys that you name is not as skillful as me.
Errol Spence Jr., who fought Crawford in one of 2023's biggest boxing matches, has a different perspective. While acknowledging the difficulty of Crawford's move up to 168, Spence still expressed belief in his former opponent's abilities. Speaking to Fight Hub TV, Spence offered a simple prediction: "I'm going for Bud." He explained that if Crawford wants to challenge himself and reach for greatness, he fully supports it. If Crawford wants to challenge himself to be great, then let him try to be great, you know? So, I'm with it. I'll be going for him. I don't know if he's going to win or lose, but I'll definitely be going for Crawford. This shows the mutual respect and camaraderie between Spence and Crawford, even in the face of a massive challenge for the Nebraska native.
There's no Triple G on Bud's resume. There's no Trout on Bud's resume. There's no Daniel Jacobs on Bud's resume. Canelo is the one that's fought the elite level opposition. It's Canelo that fought Laura. There is no Laura on Bud's resume. There is no Laura on Bud's resume. Bud has never faced a multiple.
Spence believes in Crawford's drive to compete at the highest level and admires his willingness to take on a huge challenge. I think if anybody can pull it off, he can pull it off, Spence added, highlighting his confidence in Crawford's skills and determination. While Spence was supportive of Jaron Boots, Ennis initially took a more neutral stance on the Canelo versus Crawford fight. In January, when asked about the matchup, Ennis called it a 50-50 fight and said fans would be excited to see it. However, he has since changed his prediction in a later interview with Fight Hub TV. Ennis said he now leans toward Canelo. His reason? Crawford's decision to jump directly to 168 pounds without a warm-up fight could severely affect his chances.